Hey, everybody, like to do a shout out to our sponsor, Dogs. Yes, Dogs. If you're looking for top security, forget the rest and get the best. Get yourself a dog.
Hi, this is 50/50, real estate podcast for the common man, where we talk about selling, buying, and investing in real estate. We aren't baffling you with BS. We're dazzling you with brilliance. We're not telling you how to become a millionaire. We're telling you stories, the truth, and the information no one is talking about. So sit back, listen, laugh, and enjoy 50/50, real estate podcast for the common man.
Hey, everybody, JD here. Hope you're feeling good and looking fine. Hopefully you had a great week with friends, neighbors, relatives, and families. We're going to be discussing on this podcast something that's just agitating the hell out of me now. It's liars, 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 and cons and misleading people and misinformation, fake news. You call it what you want to, but wow, I'm listening to realtors, agents, sellers, home builders, just desperate. They are so desperate now. They are doing anything to convince the public that this is the best time to buy. You know, I'll tell you, I've been selling real estate for 35 years. And I've heard that no matter what. If the market's slow, it's the best time to buy. If the market's going through the roof like it did last year, oh, it's the best time to buy now. It's always the best time to buy. And you know why that is? Because lenders, home builders, real estate agents, they all make their money selling homes. They're not going to tell you, don't sell your home, don't buy a home. It's a terrible time to buy. Well, why would they do that? They all starve to death because that's how they make their money. And it is not a good time to buy. And if I hear somebody say this is the great time to buy, man, I'm just going to jump off a cliff because it's terrible. It's a worse time to buy. And I'm going to tell you why it is. But I'm also going to tell you because, you know, I've seen real estate agents. Oh, you know, it's the best time to buy. Let me show you this home that 2 months ago it was listed at $650, and they lowered their price $50,000. They have it down to $600,000. Man, you could save $50,000 now if you buy the home, and boy, you're going to lose the opportunity. And you look at the market, you look at the home, you're like, this house should be another $50,000, $60,000 less. It's still overpriced. What they're doing is they're going in to what homes were listed at the beginning of the year, and they're using false prices, overinflated prices that were just a joke with under market interest rates, with this fake interest rates, fake economy, fake home market, and they're showing their clients the prices of, like I said, beginning of the year, and they've gone down $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. They say, wow, you can save all this money. And then you look at the houses and they're still way overpriced. You know, in some cases they need to go down another $100,000 before they're a great price. So that's really what I find that's just agitating. I mean, when these people are interviewed, they're like, and here's John Doe. He's a broker out of Chicago. Hey, John Doe, how you doing? Oh, doing really great. It's a phenomenal market right now. And it's like, so everybody is sucking air in the nation. Nobody's buying houses. Home builders are ready to file bankrupt. And all of a sudden, John Doe is just doing phenomenal now. What a con, man. It's a con. It just agitates me big time because I've been selling real estate for 35 years. And like I said, I've been through good times and I've been through bad times. And most of the time, I'll just tell people, you know, the past year I've been telling them you're crazy to buy a home. Just hold off. I've got a lot of buyers are just sitting in the wings, and I'm telling them to hold off. I'd love to sell your home, but in a year when you can get that home $100,000 less, you're going to be angry at me that I convinced you to buy an overpriced home. And that's what these people are doing. They're looking at homes, they're dropping prices a little bit, and then they're calling up their buyers and they're saying, oh, it's a great time to buy. I can get you this home $50,000 less than what it was listed 2 months ago. Well, the reason why nobody's buying it was overpriced, and it's still $100,000 overpriced. So I tell you, it just aggravates. I wish these people in the industry would just be straight with the public and tell them the truth. But if they said there's a terrible time to buy, there's a terrible time to sell, you're never going to get your money out of the house, you're going to be paying $100,000 still overpriced, they all be broke. They all be living in a van, as they say, down by the river, as the Saturday Night Live skit used to be. And they can't, because that's how they earn a living. So, like I said, it infuriates me. And these, new home builders, they're holding so much inventory. I worked for new home builders. I know how the game is played. And what they're doing is decreasing the price of the home. And these homes are like $150,000, $200,000 overpriced. And all the other market, nobody's selling any of the homes. They're dropping their prices left and right. And these home builders, they're starting to drop their prices. I've seen a lot of home builders drop them $10,000, $50,000, but they're still way overpriced. But then what they're doing is a lot of times they're not dropping their price, but they're so overinflated and they can't sell the homes for their prices. What they're doing is they're saying, well, look what we'll do. We'll give you $10,000 worth of upgrade. So you can upgrade your carpet and upgrade your kitchen and bath, and we'll throw in a free basement or a finished basement, or we'll throw in all the landscaping and a fence, or we'll buy that rate down to 4.5% when interest rate's about 7%. And wow, look at this great deal. I remember when I worked for a home builder, we had so much financing built into the price of the home. The homes were so overinflated because interest rates were so high. We were buying the interest rates down so much, and all we were doing is throwing it into the price of the home. But they were buying the homes because they were getting these cheap prices and they were affordable. But then, like I said, back years and years ago when the market changed, they were buried into these things. And it's just the way that the whole market is. And that's kind of what these home builders are doing now, is they're doing the same thing I did years ago. And man, I felt kind of guilty about it. And, that's when I first started, and I didn't know. I was gullible, and the home builder just kind of told me what to do. And I thought that's the way that the market was. And then over the years, I went, wow, man, what was I doing? The homes were so overpriced, and then when the market collapsed, they couldn't get out from under them. And that's kind of what the builders are doing now. They're not lowering the price. They have all this financing built in, all these incentives built in, and they're not going to lower the price. So the price stays the same, but the market's going down and down and down and down. But the house that they're selling is about $100,000 overpriced. But except lowering it $100,000, they're just building all this financing into it, still not lowering the price, but just offering people all these incentives, and they think, oh, what a great deal, I'm getting all these incentives and all these upgrades, and wow, I'm getting such a low interest rate, wow, this is a great time, man, I'm just making out like a bandit. And they're just buying overinflated homes with all the financing and incentives built into them. And these builders are desperate. A lot of these are going to just be filing bankruptcy probably by the end of 2023 because nobody will be able to buy it. The interest rates will be more and more higher. And here's the thing, people, like I said, oh, it's a great time to buy. Well, great time to sell. You should sell now. And I was ready to just like scream today. I get a flyer in the mail from one of the agents that farm on the area that I'm in, and it has all these homes that she sold back at the beginning of the year when interest was like 2.4%. A monkey could sell homes. Everybody was overbidding on all the homes, 20, 30, $40,000 overpriced. All those homes are just buried in them now. And she comes out with this flyer that says, look at me, I'm so great. I got $30,000 over the asking price, $20,000 over the asking price, $40,000 over the asking price. Sold in 1 day, sold in 3 days. I looked at it and I was like, man, why doesn't real estate agents just tell the public the truth? This is garbage that was back at the beginning of the year that was so overinflated that any monkey could have sold it, and you're passing flyers as if you sold all these homes in today's market. No, you didn't. Nobody can sell them. They're overinflated. Nobody's buying them. They're lowering the price. A lot of the sellers are just taking their homes off the market and just living in them and deciding that they just don't want to lower their price $100,000 to what it should be. So they come in and real estate agents, these real estate agents, they're young, they're naive, they got in the business when any monkey could sell a home and so on. And what they're doing is a competitive market analysis on homes that were 6 months, 7, 8 months ago, and they're telling the sellers, well, look at your house is worth this much, and they're using comps from 6, 8, 10 months ago when you would never be able to sell a home. So you got overpriced homes that these sellers are trying to sell their homes at, and they're just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. Nobody's buying them. And then they're lowering the price to the point where they still can't sell them because they're still way overpriced, and they're just taking them all off the market. I see tons of inventory of homes in the area now, and just nationally, where you get the homes that are listed, and within about 60 days they're lowering them $30,000-$40,000, and these people still aren't buying them. And let me tell you why it's just a bad market is, a lot of people, when they have extra money and they're feeling really good and so on, they want to sell, pay off their property. So they always do prepayment. Hey, we got some money, let's add it to our payment and try to pay off our home earlier. Well, now that prepayment where people are trying to pay off their loans quicker has dropped 15%. Of people are not paying their loans in advance or adding to the mortgage and saying apply the difference to my balance. And now what that's telling me is people are broke. They've tapped out. They used their stimulus money. They used their credit. Maybe they lost a job. Maybe their incomes are down, and they just don't have all that liquid cash that they can just stop paying their houses down. So that is really slowing down people paying off their loans early. It was really interesting. 3.5% of the homes in the United States were delinquent in November. 3.5%. They said something like 31,000 homes were delinquent in November. That's actually 1 month. That's quite a lot. That doesn't mean foreclosure, okay? That doesn't mean foreclosure. It just means that people just can't pay their payments. And usually, when you're delinquent, in most of the United States, foreclosure law is a little different in little states, but you get an election demand notice. You got 3 to 4 months to sell the home or refinance, but nobody really can refinance it. And what happens if you can't sell the home or negotiate a short payoff or something like that? The home goes into foreclosure. So you usually have about 90 to 120 days. And so when you have 31,000 delinquencies just in November, that means that probably you're going to look at March, April before they hit the market as foreclosures, unless they sell them beforehand. But right now, with so much inventory, so many new home builders just trying to give as much financing incentives as they can, and there's so many still overpriced homes that I don't think a lot of those homes are going to be sold unless they do short payoffs. Foreclosures are up 19%, 19% overall in October, and just in November they also went up in 1 month 4.3%, and that's foreclosures. That means that they try to sell the homes, they try to refinance, they couldn't, and the bank just took them over. It's also really interesting because home sales nationally in November dropped 22%. So 22% of the people that were out buying homes have just disappeared. So 22% of the home sales dropped in November. So if you look at all those statistics and you listen to these people telling you how wonderful the housing market is, they're just misleading you, lying to you. They're all broke, they're all desperate, they're all trying to sell homes. And I always say, if you're a seller, don't believe the real estate agent. He's probably using comps of 6, 8 months ago, giving you overinflated homes. And if you're not keeping up with the market, you just think that's what your home's worth, because like, oh yeah, 3 homes in my neighborhood I remember sold for this much. Well, that was at the beginning of the year. Nothing's selling now. So you get these real estate agents that are not adjusting to the current market. And the reason why they don't is because sellers will be angry. They'll go, well, wait a minute, my house isn't worth 600. That's terrible. There's 4 houses that sold in the neighborhood just like mine for 720, and you want me to list my home for $100,000 less? You're crazy. So they'll never get a listing. So they have to mislead them, use old comps to support overinflated prices of like the past 2 or 3 years. It was just smoke and mirrors, and it just, like I said, it just kind of gets my goat, because I hear it so much on advertising and YouTube videos and on radio, real estate radio programs and so on. Oh yeah, it's a great time to buy. Everything's great and wonderful. And I was just like, please just throw these freaking people off the cliff. Be honest. Tell them it's not a good time to buy. It's not a good time to sell. In matter of fact, everything the past probably 4 years was just all smoke and mirrors. It wasn't a good time to buy the past 3 years. It was all overinflated. It's a great time to sell if you didn't have to buy. I mean, if you have rental properties and you just wanted to unload them or do some fix and flips, it was great because you got, the old saying is, you buy a home and then you find just somebody stupider than you to buy it at a much higher price, and you sell it, and that's how everybody was making money. But now that false market's over, we're getting into reality, and it's starting to sting a lot. It's these people aren't selling their homes in 1-2 days. As a matter of fact, a lot of them aren't even selling homes. I've seen so many people just take their house off the market because they can't get these overinflated prices. And I see real estate agents. Somebody said 40% of real estate agents offices have wrapped up and left. Lenders are laying people off. New home builders and so on are just laying people off. Construction workers are being laid off. Plumbers are being laid off. Heating and air conditioning companies are being laid off. Concrete foundation companies are laying people off. Roofers are laying people off. Plumbers are laying people off. It's because nobody's buying homes and nobody's remodeling them. I mean, the housing market was going up and up and up. They were getting home equity lines of credit, buying new furniture, remarketing new kitchens. That home market is wrapped up and disappeared. So like I said, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a deceiving. It's everybody is just giving people tons of BS about how wonderful it is and how great the market is, because just some seller who had their house $100,000 overpriced just lowered it to $25,000, and they're saying, well, look, you can save $25,000 now. They're still not saying that it's $75,000 overpriced, and builders are just not lowering their prices but just giving all these incentives, and they're still selling way over inflated properties because of the fact that, like I said, those homes should be lowered $100,000-$200,000, but they can't because they have so much into it. So they're just throwing so much incentives and still selling overpriced homes. So like I said, folks, it's just smoke and mirrors. Don't believe anything anybody is telling you in real estate right now. They're just trying to survive now, and they'll do anything to convince people to sell or buy their home. And then, one of my people I talked to and I just bumped into him and he was selling his home. Said, oh yeah, the realtor told me that my house is worth this much. We didn't get any showings, and he started just beating me up every week and lowering the price $10,000 and $10,000. After I lowered it $50,000, I just said, hey, I'm not going to lower it anymore. I'm not going to sell the home. He just took it off the market, and I said, yeah, totally don't blame you. That's what they're all doing now, just deceiving the sellers, deceiving the buyers, and so on and so forth. Well, guys, now that I rambled on, I wish you a great week. Like I said, if you're thinking of selling or buying a home, don't, unless you're going to list your home at a decent price. If you're going to list your home, do the research with a real estate agent, and the real estate agent forgets about the overinflated market in the past 3 or 4 years and gets what your home is worth back in, say, 2019. And here's what I tell people, because people will say, JD, what's a good price for my home? Or what's a good price to bid? And I always tell people, here's how I've been telling my buyers and sellers. And if they don't want to listen to me, well, great, they can move on. So let's say in 2019, your home was worth $400,000. Okay, the average home market, the average appreciation usually goes up 3 to 5%. So we're just going to say 5%. So let's say in 2019 to 2020, your home was $400,000, it went 5%. So in 1 year, your house went up $20,000. So in 2020, your house is worth $420,000, okay? And that's 2020. Okay, now in 2021, what we're going to do is we're going to take the 420 and we're going to add another 5%, and we're going to say, okay, in 2021, your home is worth $441,000. Okay, now in 2022, which is today, we're going to take the $441,000. We're going to add 5%. And now we're saying, okay, today's market, your home should be listed at $463,000, or I'd say 463 to maybe 475. That's a good price. That's what you should list a home for, and it'll sell. But people are not willing to go and do that because what they're saying is, well, wait a minute, all these homes, like, the past 3 years ago, all sold for $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. I'm not going to give my house away for $150,000 less, what all these other people sold their homes for. And I'm like, great, live in your home until you die. Okay, or buyers, if you're paying overpriced, great, pay overpriced, and then a year from now or 2 years from now, when the house is around you selling for $150,000 less, don't go crying to everybody else. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you got some insight on really what the housing market is. And I wish you guys well. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed the show, Real Estate for the Common Man. Please follow us or subscribe. Tell your friends, neighbors, relatives, and coworkers about us. We're on all your major podcast apps: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. If you can't remember all that, just Google it, or have your friends Google Real Estate for the Common Man, and it will come up. Again, we thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hey, if you live in Colorado Springs and want to buy or sell a home, you can look us up at soldrealestatecompany.com, as in I sold a home. Again, thank you very much. Have a very good week, and we'll see you next Monday.